Hello and welcome to ListenABLE. It is our podcast where Dylan Alcott and I share a studio with some incredible people, and today is no different. We'd like to introduce Prue.
Yeah, look, I met Prue not too long ago. I was lucky enough to do a speaking gig on International Day of Disability, and I like to think of myself as the best speaker on a panel, and guess what? I was not, because Prue was there. Prue was so impressive, and we really appreciate you giving up your time to come in here today, Prue. So thank you. So can you please introduce to us who you are and what you do?
Well, my name's Prue, and I am an artist, and I'm also third Dan black belt in Taekwondo, but I've stopped that now, and I'm starting tap dancing, so I'm going to start working my way towards being a triple threat,
I like it.
Perfect.
just like Shirley Temple, my biggest role model.
Great.
And so I've got the dancing. I'm in a theatre group called Raucous. We rehearse at the South Melbourne Community Centre, and also I'm in a band called Ice Cream in a Mug, and we sing songs about happy, hope, and food.
Brilliant.
Angus, I told you.
Oh, yeah, this is
She
already
has got all the
firing.
skills. And Prue, what is your disability?
Well, I actually don't identify as having a disability. I identify with identity first language, so I'm an autistic person.
Very good.
Nice.
So what is that, for everybody that doesn't know, what does that mean, identifying language?
Well, the thing is that we started in the disability community. Our history starts with medical language, and that that says disabled person. So it's the medical language first, and that the person themselves are disabled. And then came along the disability social model, and the social model of disability uses person first language. So person who's a wheelchair user, person with Down syndrome. And around the 70s, I think, the deaf community made a stance and started using identity first language. So person first language is like, it's not the person that's disabled, it's society, the way that we've designed society that's disabling. And an example for the autistic community is bathrooms having Dyson hand dryers. So a lot of the autistic community actually use the accessible toilets because it's in an environment they can control. Because otherwise I need to pee with my ears blocked. It's pretty full on. It's like our kryptonite. It's really, really hurts.
Wow.
A lot of autistic people like open the door slightly and check to see if there are Dyson hand dryers, and if they see them, then they run and use the accessible toilet.
Because the noise is too much?
Yeah, because our senses are connected with our fight, flight, fright reflex. It means that depending on your sensory profile, everybody's got their own individual sensory profile. Mine is actually very hypersensitive to sound and smell. So my brain, the way that it processes that information is that it processes it too much, and my brain doesn't have enough time to process the information, so it becomes painful and it can make my brain shut down. Wow. But then I have other senses, like my vestibular sense, which is my sense of balance in my inner ear, and my brain doesn't get enough information, so I seek that sense. So I love jumping up and down, spinning around, and that kind of thing. I'm always moving. I love moving. But yes, back to identity first language. It doesn't really make sense to me that I would be a person with autism, because it sounds a bit like I have a cold and I'm going to get over it one day, and that's not going to happen. No. Whereas being an autistic person, like, it's my brain, that it's my brain and it's who I am. And if you took the autism away from me, I'd be a completely different person. So I strongly identify with identity first language.
Love that.
And also a lot of my community does too, because I work for Amaze as an autistic consultant. And
what do Amaze do, if people don't know?
We're non-for-profit organisation that advocates for the autistic community. And we have a phone line that people can call up. We just got the national bid, so it's going to go across the whole of Australia that anyone can call and ask any question they want about autism, about NDIS, which is a big struggle for our community to get access to that, about education, and yeah, I work in the capacity building section of the business, so I'm in organisation. I get those words confused. But yeah, I work in that part, so it means I'm out meeting clients, training them in autism, positive behaviour support, and doing environmental audits. I actually did one last year or the year before. I think it was last year at Northland.
Cool.
Because they're the first shopping centre in the world to have a quiet room, and they wanted to have Target open up to about a month before Christmas shopping, so that the autistic community could access that for their Christmas shopping. And
Not be
they
overwhelmed.
have some shiny floors. I walked in there because usually, like my grandma, she really struggles in shopping centres because she has glaucoma. So she gets really loses her confidence when it's a really shiny floor because she might fall over. And so usually shopping centres are quite shiny. They polish the floors, but Target was next level shiny.
Almost like see your reflection shiny.
Yeah, it was, and including the fluorescent lights, which are so bright. So when I walked in, it actually looked like a 6-metre swimming pool. And I said, I don't think this is going to work. And my colleague Fiona said, actually, dogs will really struggle, guide dogs will really struggle in this environment because they don't have very good depth perception.
Oh, they don't know where they're going.
Yeah, but a good thing was that they had shiny corridors. However, where their aisles were, they had different flooring, like timber flooring. And so it meant that to work out if you're in an aisle and you're getting sensory overload or having a meltdown, you can easily see where to go to exit the store, and they're hanging stuff all on the ceiling, so I could actually navigate just through all the things they hang on the ceiling.
Cool. Now, for people that don't know, when you and I hung out last time, you explained what it's like having autism so well. Can you give people that don't have much of a knowledge around what life with autism is like? Can you just give like a brief kind of definition, or how do you explain it?
Autism's basically a different processing journey, and it's a much longer, highly detailed processing journey. Because I did look at one study that's happened in America of a neuroscientist, and he said that the autistic brain develops 67% more neurons than the average brain in the second and third trimester of pregnancy. And at the age of 2, we all have the most neurons we'll ever have, everybody. And after that, we do a thing called neural pruning. So it's like we've got all our neurons and they're connecting, and that's making neural pathways. And the way that we think, it's kind of like muscle memory with sport, but it's through thinking patterns. And the thing is that at certain ages, developmental markers, which is where autistic people get picked up, because we're not hitting those average developmental markers, basically certain ages we do what's called neural pruning. So the neural pathways are branching off, they're growing like a bush, and bushes grow at different rates. One branch will be really long, another one will be shorter. And then at ages like probably 5, 7 or 8, 13, 16, that gets pruned off all at the same level, and then it starts growing again. And autistic brains don't do that as much. So we already start with a lot more neural pathways, but then we're consistently got more throughout our lives. And like at the moment, I've been having an autistic burnout. I've been on and off for about 2 years. Not many people know or recognize autistic burnout, but it's basically like a burnout, but you're autistic, and it's really full on. And because a lot of autistic people are very connected with their brains, for me, I've been having 4 different sensations from my brain, and I can actually feel what part of my brain is tired. And it's particularly my prefrontal cortex at the moment, which
How do you feel that?
well, I have like throbbing pain in the front part of my brain and behind my eyes, and that makes me really tired. And because the prefrontal cortex is where we have our executive functioning skills, our rational thought, making priorities, sequencing steps, all that sort of thing, it means that I'm really struggling with those skills. Things like keeping my room clean. I need a lot of support with that.
I also need a lot of support with that.
Yeah.
I'm very bad at that
I'm really
also.
lucky that my partner Teddy made me a step-by-step structure on how to keep my room clean. So I can just check it off each time I do a job, and then it's not like a lot of information.
Yeah.
It's just step-by-step doing that.
You've well, we've got a bit of a prop in the studio as well, Prue. You asked Dylan ahead of time to bring in essentially a glass jar, which is here, and also some dollar coins. Now, what's the reasoning? What's the process? What are we about to do? What's happening here?
Well, basically, like I said earlier, I'm a really big Shirley Temple fan, and I actually have one of her original journals at home from when she was on the set of Rebecca from Sunnybrook Farm, which is one of my favourite movies. And she wanted to be a police officer when she was on the set of that film, and so she made police badges, and all the cast had to wear them, and the director got real metal ones made. And she had a series of steps, like if you didn't, or rules, that if you didn't wear your badge, then you had to pay 5 cents. And in context, like this is in the 30s, so
That's a bit more.
With inflation, it's a lot of money.
my mum in the 70s, if she had 5 cents, she could buy 1 ice cream and a really big bag of lollies the size of my head.
Oh wow.
Good.
So
5 cents a lot.
5 cents meant even more in the Depression.
Yeah.
And it was things like if you gave your police badge to someone else, then that's like a really unthinkable act. But if you did that, you'd have to pay a whole $1. And she carried a glass milk bottle around and jingled all the coins. So I thought with Dylan, Dylan uses a lot of high level and figurative language.
Okay.
And
So what does that mean?
so high level and figurative language is like sarcasm, idioms, old sayings. So it's things like, I remember when I was a kid and I was in the car with my parents and brother, and it was raining really, really heavily. And my mum said, "Oh, it's raining cats and dogs." And I looked out the window and I really wanted a dog. Like I still really want a dog. Luckily, I'm getting one next year.
Okay.
But I looked out and said, "Where's the dog?" And I got my heart broken because it was just the rain pouring down.
So you miss some sarcasm in conversation, so you take things more literally.
Yeah, I take things literally,
Right.
but also like a lot of it with sarcasm, it's a tone of voice. I actually class sarcasm with lying, white lying, and sarcasm they're all cousins.
Okay.
And I actually have a story about that. Do you want to hear it?
Of course, that's what we're here.
Okay, well, basically, I'm on the disability support pension, and when I was younger, I had about 4 different jobs, and one of them was drawing portraits at a retirement home. And so I was getting, I think, paid $50 in cash a fortnight. And Dad said, "Oh, it doesn't matter. I don't want to report it. It's not that much money. It's not a big deal. I can't be bothered putting that there." I said, "No, we have to do it." And so Dad tried to start coaching me how to white lie
Oh, to be able to keep your pension.
over a few months, just so he didn't have to tell Centrelink that I was earning $50 in
Yeah.
cash a fortnight.
Because if I was on the disability pension too. If you earn money, it comes off your pension. You can't. It
okay.
gets negative effect.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically, my dad didn't want to report it. I wanted to report it, but Dad does all the paperwork for me. I can't access services like that without my dad. It's too much information, too much paperwork. But anyway, Dad over a few weeks or months tried to coach me how to white lie. So we got into the Centrelink office. They asked me what I do for work. I said, I got this job and this job and this job, and I get paid $50 in
And
cash
Dad's
at
like,
a retirement
no.
home.
Dad's
And
like,
then I went, oh, whoops, I wasn't supposed to tell you that.
No.
I was supposed to lie. And then I looked at my dad, and he did his nervous laugh. But then the Centrelink people said, oh, that's okay. We don't need to put that on the books.
There you go.
And
good.
so
Pays to be truthful.
I taught my dad that day that charm over white lies.
I like that.
It works.
So every time we say something that is hard for you to process, we have to put $1 into our pot. Does that work for you? And
It's more like every time you use language where you're not saying what you're meaning and meaning
Correct.
what you're saying.
So I already owe
Then
you.
I'll do my best to pick you up. Maybe Teddy can be my indicator too.
Good.
Yeah.
I owe you
Your partner's
$2
in
already,
studio.
okay? Because
Oh,
when
really?
we talked the other day
Okay.
before coming on this podcast, it was quite a hot day. And I said, are you cool when you come in if we film the podcast? And Prue said, no, I'm not cool. I'm hot.
Gotcha.
So one, I also said this.
Okay.
When you get downstairs, give me your bell and I will come down and get you. And she goes, I don't have a bell to give you, but I can call you.
There you go. So we are officially at $2. People who are watching this on
Very good.
YouTube or online, they will be able to see our bowl, but we will keep us truthful. So Teddy, your partner, is in the studio. Like he can indicate if maybe something goes over our head.
Yeah.
Over my head.
Okay.
As in, it's literally not going to go over your head, is
It's
it?
not going to go over your
How
head.
good is this?
Okay, great.
So
All right, we're away.
it's great. It's a great way to kind of.
I didn't even pick that one up.
There you go. So it's a great way to, I guess, understand a bit better what it's like for you to, live with autism. How did you go growing up? What was your childhood like? How did other kids and other people that you met treat you?
Well, I got bullied at school a lot.
So did I.
And I used to get cornered a lot, and they call me Pooh. And I used to say to my mum, why did you call me Prue? This is just too hard. And my parents would say, don't worry, just like Winnie the Pooh the bear. And I was like, but it's a silent H. You don't get it. You've forgotten what it's like to be a kid. I remember this time I got a ganglion on my wrist, like this big bump. And I freaked out because I was already getting bullied with my name. And I showed my parents and I said, you have to get this off me. What are we going to do? And they said, no, it's all good. Don't stress. You could name it. It's like a pet. I was like, you just don't get it.
Kids are hard.
Oh, yeah.
But it's okay. Dad whacked it with an encyclopedia.
And it went away.
And it went away.
Perfect.
Because it's just built up fluid. They do surgery now, but back then in the 90s.
An encyclopedia was just as good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were bullied at school. Were you bullied based around having autism specifically, or just kids being kids?
Well, when I was a kid, nobody knew what autism was. And when I went to my first primary school, I wasn't diagnosed with autism.
Right.
When I was 7, I got misdiagnosed with ADHD and put on Ritalin and got really bad side effects for a very long time. The kids I think they were bullying me. I probably wasn't picking up the social cues, and I was just an easy target, fun game. And I used to get cornered against a wall and get yelled at, and I didn't have the skills to be able to get out of that situation, and I would get my fight, flight, fright reflex up, so I would hit and kick them and run away. And including doing that to teachers, because back then teachers were allowed to touch students. So I did have the principal grab me one time and I bit her finger. And that was when I got expelled from that school, amongst doing a few other things.
Naughty things.
Yeah, but I was always the naughty kid, not because I wanted to be. I went to a disabled school after that in Kew, and that was really good respite. There were between 25 and 31 students there. However, with that process, in that time that I was there, I got diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, and that was explained to my parents like I have an illness that I'll never get over. It was very negative, and my parents really didn't want me to have a disability. They saw that I'm highly verbal. I can do things that don't fit the stereotype of autism. I'm actually the furthest away you can get from those stereotypes.
What are some of those misconceptions and stereotypes?
Stop for 2 seconds.
Good.
All right, so I'm just going to explain something that just happened then. During Dylan's question, I asked Dylan to stop so I could save the recording, just in case something goes wrong in the Matrix and we lose everything. And when I said...
The Matrix?
Yes.
Like the movie?
Yeah, like something like how they have, what do they call it? Coincidence? No. In the Matrix.
Analogy?
I'm trying to think.
They do backflips.
They do.
In
Yes.
slow motion.
That's right.
Red
So
blue.
you were putting the recording in a backflip in slow motion.
That's exactly what I was doing. And when I did that, I said, guys, can we just stop down for 2 seconds? And you started counting.
And it took longer than,
2 seconds.
and you knew it would. So guess
So-
what? Thank you very much.
Another dollar in the jar. And we continue.
Now, what are some of the misconceptions or stereotypes that people put on people with autism that aren't true?
Well, it really comes from the beginnings of the research with autism, which started in the early 40s. There was one guy named, what was his name? Gotta think. Why have I got the name Eric Clapton in my head? It's totally different.
It's not Eric Clapton.
Hey, could have been.
Good.
I don't even remember who that is right now.
A singer. Eric
Singer.
Clapton.
Tears in Heaven.
Oh no,
Lay
that's
love.
awful. I didn't mean to start this.
We're on my knees, lay love.
Cut. Yeah, so it was at the start, and there was Hans Asperger, and there was Leo Kanner. That was his
Got it.
name.
Nice.
So Leo Kanner was in America. Hans Asperger was in Germany. There was stuff happening with the Nazis, so his work was never translated until about the 80s or 90s. Whereas Leo Kanner, his work was already in English, so it was very accessible. The etymology of autism, the very beginnings of that word, means selfism. So already you can see the links with schizophrenia there, which from the 80s and before, a lot of autistic people were misdiagnosed with schizophrenia, put in institutions, and that's like probably people aged around 50 and older in our community. And basically those stereotypes come from those two research bases from the 40s. So Leo Kanner was very selective in the way that he was looking at what autism is. I think he didn't coin autism. I think that autism was coined in the turn of the century. But he basically said that an autistic person is a boy who is not aware of his surroundings, not interacting with his environment. He's doing repetitive behaviours, and he's not intelligent. Hans Asperger, he was looking at what a lot of people call the other end of the spectrum, and he was looking at young boys who he would call his little professors. So already there's a gender stereotype, but also his little professors were young people who were not very good at social communication. However, they knew an extensive amount of information about one particular topic of their interest, and that they could be, 4 years old and standing up in a university and giving a lecture to a bunch of adults about that interest. So when Hans Asperger's work was translated into English around the late 80s, early 90s, that's when the idea of the spectrum came up. And the spectrum was basically like a lot of people thought of it as low functioning autism and high functioning autism, and there's a line connecting them, and you can move along the spectrum. And this is also when they didn't believe that there are autistic adults, that we grew out of our autism. And so there's no sort of kind of resources for autistic adults. And it's getting better now, but there's still quite a gap between once you finish being a kind of 21, then you just fall off, and there's not much support there to get into the workforce. But also with the spectrum, the way that I was explained the spectrum was that that I am Asperger's syndrome is like high functioning autism, and so there's like autism on one end of the spectrum, and there's neurotypical on the other end of the spectrum. And the harder I work to get my skills to be neurotypical, or be like an average person accessing society, the more rewards I would get. The closer I got to autism, the more punished I got. So, by the education system, by my parents who didn't have any education around that, no support, and by my peer group. So I actually didn't really have any friends until much later in life.
How did that make you feel growing up?
It was my biggest goal. My biggest goal was making new friends.
That's awesome.
That's really what I wanted. That was like if I don't like using the term special interest because I think it's still very stereotyped, but if I had a special interest as a young person, it would be making new friends. And so that meant that with those two things coupled, it meant that I got exceptionally good at passing for a neurotypical or masking my autism. So I would use all of my capacity just to put up filters to behave the way that I was expected to behave. And of course, instead of that capacity going towards me getting educated, it went towards me making friends and fitting into society. And that's very common for a lot of autistic people. Now we don't use the term high and low functioning because it is very harmful language. It means that I might be seen as high functioning now, but then I go home and I'm exhausted and I have a meltdown, my brain shuts down, that I will be low functioning, and that is not valid. That is, harmful to others around me, and it's not practical. So a lot of guilt comes from me having my brain shut down, and it's taken many years to kind of take these learn to take these filters off, but also and kind of learn how to be autistic, which is much better for my mental health.
It sucks. You have to pretend that you're not the person that you are.
The word masking really sucks to hear. The feeling that you have to mask, not because of who you want to be, but because of who society and other people determine that you should be.
The thing is that when society was really getting designed the way it's designed today, we were all in institutions, so we didn't get to participate in that design, which now we're starting to, get our voices and be heard, be listened to, and that's really exciting. But there are a lot of people who, like you look at Dylan and I, and we're white Australians, and our families are fairly well off, well off enough to support us, and that there are a lot of families out there, people that have multiple disabilities, and their families don't, their second language is English, or they don't speak English, and they are not, like, if we're not getting the support, our family's not getting the support, then you can imagine all these other people that are just finding all of those loopholes and falling down.
1.3 billion people around the world, and You're so true. We're lucky we're born where we are, aren't we? Because our lives would be very different. And you made some friends, and you made a special friend as well. You've got your partner, Teddy. How did you guys meet?
On a rainy Tuesday night at the Coburg Castle and share house in Coburg about
Teddy?
8.5 years ago now.
Oh,
8.5
wow.
years ago.
Did you think when you were growing up you struggled to have friends? Did you ever think you weren't potentially going to find someone to have a relationship with?
Well, my goal has not really been strongly in finding a partner. It's really been making friends. I'm really lucky that I have my monkey, which is my support toy, and I stole him from a shop in Germany when I was 2. It was
We're massive in Germany, this podcast.
really
Nah, just kidding.
because I've actually had an article come out in Germany with Taekwondo.
Well, they might find you and find they might
Podcast.
find the monkey. No.
Watch out, they're going to come back for it all these years later.
It's all right. I'm a black belt. I can just
True.
kick them
that's
in the
right.
head.
Of
So
course.
you've been together 8.5 years. Would you want to get married one day?
Nah, I'm not that silly.
Is there a reason why? Is it the
Well,
construct of marriage?
There
or
is one thing.
Mhm.
If I probably got married to Teddy, I would not have my DSP anymore. Most likely.
Ah, right. Disability support.
Pension, yeah.
Yeah. So there's one reason.
So it's all about the cash.
It's not all about the cash. It's just that, I really depend on that support. I would not be able to do what I do without that support. And the second goal, first one making friends, second one being independent. And I am very hungry for my independence and always have been. And I, particularly around the age of 15, 16, I really realized that I was very dependent on my parents, and that's not what I wanted. I want to be an independent person, being part of society, giving back to society. But the fact is that I got expelled twice and suspended 7 times. I wasn't educated. I couldn't access the things that other people can, and I need that support from my family. So I also need that government support while I kind of, with my, brain, because it's highly detailed, it's much slower. It's like if we were to go from here to Flinders Street, you would probably go via tram stops and I would go via buildings. In the same speed of time, with the expectation of your speed of time. So it's really that I need more time to be able to do things. Like I just got my master's in fine art, and that's really cool. I learnt so much, and now I can go and be an artist and put that in other places. And artists can make money. There is a misconception we can't, but we can. Being an autistic consultant as well with Amaze, and I couldn't do those things now without being able to be autistic at work. That's a really great thing that I can do. And being autistic at university, it's actually, I'm really lucky to have found that course because my lecturers at RMIT really supported me and helped me thrive there, but also really genuinely like my point of view. And because I come from such a different perspective than the other students, when we have class discussions about each other's artworks and about the world, that I do come from this other perspective, and that's just as valuable as everybody else.
Can we talk about your intelligence for a second? You speak so eloquently, like you've got great turn of phrase. I can hear immediately that you're highly intelligent. What was that? Because you said you got expelled twice, suspended 7 times. Where did this learning come from? Like, where did you really bunker down and get this next level thinking?
Well, I was really lucky that I had my parents and also my grandparents and older relatives. So often, like, my parents would get really tired working, supporting me when I wasn't able to fit in, taking me to Royal Children's Hospital all the time. I always got an apple pie at Macca's, so it was pretty good.
Oh,
Okay.
hey,
Brother
Nice,
didn't get
nice.
do you know the best thing about being at the Royal Children's Hospital?
Mm.
The Maccas.
No way, the Nintendo 64.
True, that was good too. I was there with you, and there was only a few Nintendo 64s on the ward, so you got like a little chance to have a play for an hour. Then you had to give it to another kid.
Okay.
But I got really fat because I ate heaps of Maccas.
So, Masters in Fine Art, it's incredible.
I
Congratulations.
just also want to say that I actually don't believe in intelligence.
Okay, please. Let's break into this.
Yeah, I feel like it's really holding the human race back, this idea of intelligence. And I think that, I look at the disability community and I think we're the most diverse community there is. And we have so much to say. However, the idea of intelligence, that's one big thing that is really holding our community back, because we're not hearing from the perspectives of people with intellectual disabilities or Down syndrome or acquired brain injuries.
Because they're not intelligent. So
Deaf people as well. Like, deaf people are seen as unintelligent because they don't speak verbally, or some do. But
It's so true, and it's not the case, is it?
yeah, no. They have a lot to give to society. And the other thing I think about is that when you have an idea and that idea doesn't get challenged, it's not often a very strong idea. But if your idea gets challenged by, say, the disability community with access needs is a really good example, that idea becomes really strong, and it then becomes universal design. It's strong enough to hold everybody, almost everybody. So it's, with the disability community comes a lot of creativity, because you have to think, and I'm going to put $1 in the jar.
Okay.
You got to think outside of the box.
Hang on. Where's the box? Thank you. Very good.
There you go.
I'm glad we're all playing. As Angus said, you are an incredible artist. Why do you love art so much?
Well, art is just, because I had to learn how to mask my autism, it meant that I needed to find other ways of self-regulating that were socially acceptable.
So what were some of the ways, if you were unmasked, what do you do to self-regulate your autism?
Flap my hands, jump up and down, bang my head, just spin around, really like sensory seeky, like just seeking out sensory input in a repetitive way, rocking back and forth, patting carpet, looking for textures.
And that helps you regulate, so you feel better after that.
So if an example is, if you're really angry, then it feels really good to scream.
Yeah.
However, screaming is not a socially acceptable thing unless you start singing. And singing is a socially acceptable replacement of screaming.
It's too.
And so this is where I started Taekwondo and where I started art, because with these disciplines, you have to repeat over and over again in a sensory way in order to get those skills up, get that muscle memory up. And so it does make me highly skilled to be able to find those sort of stimming replacements, but sometimes I can't just practice Taekwondo all the time, and I can't just, I can do art all the time. That's infinity.
If you want to put Angus in a chokehold, you can.
It is, really?
Yeah, I reckon.
Well, thanks
Can
for
I
offering
get
me
that
up.
in writing?
Yeah, well, Angus, will
I
you
want
let
my
Prue?
notepad here.
Will you let Prue put you in a chokehold after this?
I can teach you how to get out of a guillotine if you want.
Wee.
That seems like a great skill to probably get into.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put him to sleep. Now, I'm just going to go for it. There's a big present on the table. Prue has brought a presents.
I've actually bought more than one present.
So it's not. Is it? I was hoping it was just me, but it's me and Angus. Is
Yeah.
I get a
Angus
present?
get ones as well.
What did you? I mean, how do you get a present for me? I mean, Dylan, you have a a relationship where you've been in
I've known
circumstance.
him for 1 week.
One
I know,
week.
but still, it's still more back history than me. You've known me for 1 hour.
Not really, because Dylan told me you're one of his best mates.
See?
Okay,
I
right.
did say that.
Okay.
I might have been putting a bit of mayonnaise or GST on that. Thank you very much.
There, you put a bit of dollar in. Have you ever heard that saying? Putting mayo on it?
Put a bit of mayonnaise on it.
That's a
little bit of extra no, he is one of my best mates. What have we got? I'm ready. I'm ready for the
No.
presents.
I need a translation first.
Yeah, mayo.
What's
So
the
put-
mayo?
Put in a bit of extra lie on top of it. Let's
Oh,
say
on top of a story.
You're
yeah.
lying to me?
No, I was pretending. He is one of my best mates. I was just saying it to make him feel a bit bad, but he honestly is.
Yeah.
You were saying he was one of your best mates to make him feel
And then
bad.
I said a joke like, "Oh, maybe he's not, but he actually is. Look at him. Look at him. He's a beautiful man."
This
how do you
is
say no to
just
that face?
Not working.
He's
for
not
me.
explaining that at all. So it's like, do you know? It's putting a white lie on a story to make it feel better. It's like I found $5 on the street, and then that story's not good enough, so I found $20 on the street.
You know what I think would make him feel really good?
What?
If you genuinely told him that he's your best mate.
Angus, you are genuinely one of my best mates. I very much enjoy our relationship and hanging out with you.
There you go. Does that make you feel better? It makes me feel better.
Yeah, I think that's so much better than mayo.
Yeah, it's true.
It's also
I
like
tell you what, he's good though. Mayonnaise is delicious. Do you
Are
agree?
you taking my water?
I am touching your water, and I'm a bit thirsty.
You can have it if you
No,
want.
no, it's yours. No. Do you like mayonnaise though?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's delicious. Thank you.
there you go. So present time.
Back
I'm
to
winning-
the presents. Woo! I'm excited.
Apart from a couple of dollar coins, I feel really unprepared.
So it's actually presents from Teddy and I.
Thank you, Teddy.
Teddy, your partner.
So
in
we have
studio.
Teddy, who's in the studio right now.
Okay, I'm very
So
excited.
present number 1, Teddy. Do you want to do, or I'll go first. Okay.
Yeah.
This is for you, Dylan.
Oh, I'm so excited. So I'm holding it. It's wrapped up in brown paper. I want to be delicate with it. Oh, this is going to be so cool. Beautiful. Can you explain what it is for us, Prue, for the people that obviously can't see?
So it's an embroidery work it's in an embroidery hoop, and it is on purple cotton, and with bright orange cotton it says your neurotype is valid.
I love
which
that.
I hand embroidered.
You hand embroidered this. Thank you very much. Can I give you a hug?
Yeah, sure.
That's nice. Coming up. That's very nice. Thank you.
No worries. Okay, present number 2.
You know
Alright.
what? Everybody's neurotype is valid.
Yep.
Everybody's different, and whatever their neurotype is, it's valid. I love that. All right, present number 2.
This is from Teddy. This is Teddy's new album that not really anybody has heard before.
Really?
So, this is his solo album.
2 years in the making. It's an advanced copy. I actually forgot to put the track list on it.
That's all right.
That's okay.
So maybe before I see you guys off, I'll write it
Did
down.
you know that Angus hosts one of the biggest music shows on radio
Let's
called
just
Trending
say,
20?
Let's just say I know how to play the game.
Yeah, you do this. Hey,
It was Prue's suggestion.
Prue knows how to play the game.
Okay, well done. Well, thank you very much, Teddy.
No worries.
I've got it here. I'm going to see.
That's very nice. Thank you, guys.
Is that what it's called? Ego Boo?
The album is called Ego Boo, and the single is the 4th track.
Okay.
Yeah, also called Ego.
What kind of music?
I guess my brand of pop.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Can you sing, Prue?
Yeah, I'm a singer in Ice Cream in a Mug.
Can you give us a bit now?
I could sing you Shirley Temple
Give me.
song. Whoa.
I've never used a CD player in this radio
And it
station.
works straight away.
Straight away.
This is Teddy live.
Glass of wine, table set for 2. Appetite at your side from the head of the menu. You steal a glance of me, and I do.
What's this one called, Teddy?
That one's called Peppercorn.
Peppercorn.
Good.
The Uzi one.
Prue's loving this. She's loving it.
This actually has high level and figurative language in it.
Hey, Teddy, put
Teddy.
a coin in.
Put a dollar in.
Put it in. Thank you.
How long have listened to that on my drive home?
Awesome.
Thank you very much. I can't believe that worked. How good is
That
that?
was so cool.
I'm glad it worked too.
Yeah.
I just burnt it and then left.
Boom.
First copies ever.
Well, we feel
Yeah,
very,
you
very,
guys have-
very special. Thank you.
Now,
It was the only way I was able to get a copy for myself.
strategic. Now, we do this. You set it up.
Which the question?
Oh, yeah, you can ask one more question, then do the.
Yeah, I've got one
well.
question. How do you think? Actually, no. Let's just go straight to the question. Let's go. Is it what you're thinking?
Have
yeah.
we not had questions the whole time?
No, we do a little.
Oh,
We do a
okay.
little segment. All right. So, before we, thank you. Before we let you go,
We have a thing.
dollar coin. We're not actually holding
Yeah,
it.
Oh,
it's good.
It's good, isn't
I
it?
love that you're getting autism training while
Yeah.
we go.
Hey, everybody is listening as well, which
Yeah, I
is
know.
awesome. Now we have something that we call the bowl of uncomfortable, where we ask people questions they might not normally get asked. You don't have to answer it, but we'll do one each. So I'll go first. Do you regret having autism, and would you change it if you could?
I think that with that question, I'll need to get asked the question again because I think that I'll actually go on a wild
You
tangent
can go
here
on. You can tangent up.
and I'll forget the point.
You tell me
Okay.
when you need it
But
again.
I feel like if I was a kid in the 90s, I would definitely want to take it away. But being able to learn how to speak both neurotypical and autism has set me up well for being able to advocate for the autistic community. And I'm in a very lucky generation where I am in the first generation of autistics to not be institutionalized and be able to access society diagnosed. So not able to immigrate to any other Western country, but I am able to advocate and be part of society today. And I have worked very hard for it, which is disappointing, but I also just love people and I love I love being autistic, and I'm actually really lucky in that my brain, I can feel my brain. So my brain it gives me some symptoms, like say my brain will shut down and I'll be or I'll have a meltdown, and that is just my brain saying I'm tired and I need a rest. A lot of other people don't get that, so they don't know that they need to have a rest as much as I do. I also really am glad that I'm part of this community that is just highly skilled and highly aware, hyper aware of the environment, and that what we can achieve with support is just infinity. It's just amazing. So I enjoy sensory seeking. I just love sensory seeking. So it's if I wasn't autistic, I wouldn't be as hypersensitive in my vestibular sense. I might be, but there are autistic people that aren't autistic who have a different sensory profile as well. But
You have an incredibly vast vocabulary
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
which is impressive.
okay.
It
Angus.
answers it with the simple letters. Apart from Dyson hand dryers, what are you most frightened of?
Probably police officers.
Interesting.
Why is that?
Well, police aren't trained in autism and they don't really seem interested in getting trained in autism. They, that they have the right to grab people, and when I'm in the supermarket, for example, and I am too tired and my filters start coming down and I start behaving like my natural autistic self, I do get quite anxious because I look at that security guard over there and I go, is he gonna is this gonna escalate really quickly? Because I'm in the fruit and veg section right now and I'm starting to stim and I feel like my brain is just going to shut down, and the other customers might notice this and try and comfort me. And because I am a small female, people want to comfort me. They don't see me as a threat, which is really lucky, but they, unless they start thinking that I'm mentally disturbed, but that they often will try and comfort me with a hug or touching me. And if I'm having sensory overload, then them touching me lightly is going to cause me extreme pain. It might feel like a knife cutting into my skin. Like it can be because I get so hypersensitive. And I could get, flashbacks from primary school where I used to get cornered and have these behaviors that I've been punished for so many times that it can, and then the security gets called. For me, I know that the police most likely won't get called. But if I put myself in the position of an autistic man who is 6'3", then the police would definitely get called and they could get touched. And, that the amount of autistic people that are in jail and probably don't want to leave because there's much more structure in jail is huge.
Now, before you get out of here, I want to ask you, what is one bit of advice you would give to people that are listening with autism or even parents of kids with autism? What's the one bit of advice you want to give?
What's the question?
What's the one bit of advice you'd like to give to anybody listening, maybe of parents of kids with autism or somebody who's listening with autism that isn't proud of the person that they are?
To remember to self-regulate and to allow autistic people to self-regulate however they need, as long as it's safe for them and safe for others. So, you can always find ways that it is safe to self-regulate, and that's really important. Can I give a second piece of advice?
You can give two only because I like you.
So the second piece of advice is that if an autistic person is past the point of return where their brain has shut down and they actually are not able to be rational, to just ride it out and wait until that's finished. And then once that's finished, you can start communicating with them again.
Great.
Great.
You're so impressive.
Really are.
I'm really glad we met each other. Thank you so much for coming in.
And I'm glad you
Thanks
guys met each other, so then I get to meet you.
Thanks so much for the opportunity.
And if anybody wants to get in touch with you, I know you're a great artist, got an awesome Instagram, you do great work with the maze. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do it?
Well, I've got a website, pruestevenson.com, and you can go to the contact page, and that is linked to my email, stimyourheartout@gmail.com.
Steam your heart out. That's
Love
awesome.
that. It's been a great learning. It's been an incredible episode, and it's been just lovely to meet you, Prue, at the end of the day. So thank you so much for being part of
Keep
this.
being you because you're advocating and helping a lot of people.
Now, what are you going to do for this? What are you doing with all your money you've got?
I'm going to give it to a maze.
You
Okay,
are?
great.
Okay.
We can do
Amazing.
that.
You know what? We're going to top it up with some more coins, all right?
You're going to have
Are you ready? Just say, hey, bang them in.
You can have all the dollar coins.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Hey, it's
Oh.
raining cats and dogs and coins.
Oh,
There you go. Thank you very much.
I don't know. Thank you, Prue.
Did that on purpose.